I had discovered an incredible legacy, all buried deep within the house that I inherited from my estranged grandmother. The most incredible of it all, the writings, journals, and books detailing a 5-generation legacy of men who hunted supernatural creatures, and the history of the order that started them. The majority of the writings are journals from my great-great-great-grandfather, Harold Oldry, the member of the family that eventually broke away from the church. But the family's full legacy with the Sons of Man order is fully detailed, starting with his grandfather Theobald and continuing with his father Reinhold and himself. They served as paladins from the order that dated to Charlemagne, a super soldier force of some kind that would hunt down the creatures too much for regular mortal men. Now, this order, the Sons of Man, within the church, dates back to the First Crusade, further including the Paladins, but they joined in that time with hunters of various supernatural creatures from all across Europe, officially uniting with the church's military forces, as well as the various exorcists that they had in their employ. Theobald Oldry joined that brotherhood in the late 1700s, his son a few decades later, slaying titanic beasts and even capturing some to hold within St. George's Keep. Many of their various incredible deeds are chronicled by Reinhold's son Harold, who was a paladin himself for a time, but as I said, eventually left the church. Other than writing down various accounts, he kept many of their sacred artifacts that they wielded in battle, and he continued to use them even after losing the power. As you can see, many of them remain in our care to this day. From here on out, I'll be relaying information to you found within these documents more than just transcribing my discovery of them. I do find Harold to be the most interesting of them, not only because he's the one who wrote it all down. His tragic break from the church was complicated, involving their treatment of his trained African paladins, a botched mission against horrific man-made creatures that resulted in his loss of the power. Even still, he remained in the hunt, remaining on more traditional tools. Eventually sent to take down a horrific entity called the Burned Woman, an undead satanic witch, leaving a string of monstrous curses across Europe. When Harold was called back to Regensburg on this business, he met Brigid held in their dungeon, a powerful Celtic witch with druid magic, and a special connection to the fey folk of her people. When Harold's superiors refused to listen, he chose to break Brigid free from her imprisonment, and the two of them fled together to stop the Burned Woman, along the way receiving aid from a nun named Sister Helena, facing off against satanic cultists, the demonic creatures that they summon, as well as the hybrids of those creatures and the cultists themselves, all in a bid to stop the devil on Blacula Island. Harold would learn much about combating the Fae from Brigid, which would become necessary when the malicious ones would show their heads from time to time. I would also be forced to learn about this container that the family protected, one that holds dark, magical, and cursed objects. Part of our legacy responsibility was to maintain its wards and protections, something that, if not done properly, could lead to disastrous results. With the help of a hoodoo priest, I would perform the ritual on live, showing all these items for what they were before placing them back under the same protection they had been. Since releasing this information, I have experienced at least one extreme paranormal event. For now, I will get back to my discoveries as they happened and how I uncovered all this information. But I'll begin to post other longer videos under the title Heir of Monster Slayers, giving much more in-depth information on these different histories and stories that I've uncovered, with footage of the artifacts, the journals, and other things that I've gotten since discovering the trunk that I will get to in this other series that you'll see soon. I hope you continue to enjoy, and if you can't wait, check out my other links and my book. There's a lot of information already out there, but it's all coming here too. Okay, so I know everybody here loves Frogette, so I, Salo fixed her up and I was making a cute little video to show her off for you guys. And I got video of her moving on her own. You guys can go ahead and take a look. Okay, so Salo fixed Frogette, and I'm just going to make a cute little video showing her off because I know you guys really like her.
Alright, so what I did to fix it was I sewed along the shirt over here, which was ripped, and the apron too, like over here. And for her little straps that hold it, I put little pins along the bottom of it so it could hold it better.
Hanging out in the family room with the four girls. It's four now. We have Sallow, Melissa, Summer, and of course, Frogette. Sallow did a really great job fixing her up, so we're very proud of her. Okay, so we got all the girls together again. Very good job, Sallow. So there you have it. Like I've said before, I am not intimidated or threatened by her at all, but that is still pretty freaky. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave her alone for a little bit. So I don't know if I'm feeling brave or stupid, but I have decided to go into one of these books with you guys. The ones that I said I don't think that I'm supposed to have, and people out there might not be happy that I have. People who have already contacted me, I believe, but they already know that I have it, I'm sure, and putting this stuff out so publicly where people know, you guys know about it, I don't know, maybe that gives me another level of safety, and I don't know, but I'm going to show you. Now, this book that I'm going to show you is basically the history of the Sons of Man. It does not, like I said, it is not a book that was publicly produced or widespread produced. It's not publicly known because the order is not publicly known. It was something, it seems to be very internal. Alright, this is the book. It's pretty heavily deteriorated, even though it looks like it has been rebound at least once. That has fallen apart. We get inside, the pages, a lot of them are falling out. I'm trying to be very careful with them. It says The Sons of Man, Chronicled History, Edition 11. There's that emblem. Father Albert Lamont. He is mentioned in Harold's notes several times. This, like I said, this is the history of the order. Was written in the late 1800s and goes up until that period. I will give a brief description of what it talks about. Now, I have certainly not been able to read all of it between this and the journals and the papers and everything, but I have been reading it a ton. Even though I haven't talked about it yet, I've gotten a lot of details about it. And basically, the Sons of Man, it was officially canonized in 1108. It was basically two groups that came together under the church because of two crusaders who knew each other, who both went on to be involved in pretty incredible things. I'm going to have to do more videos to go into more detail, but to put it briefly, these two men, one of them, before he was a crusader, he was already involved with the paladin order that descended down from Roland and his men, those 12 paladins. Apparently it was something that kept going, at least for close to 300 years or more, and then this other man who was just a regular soldier, very talented soldier, who apparently went on after the First Crusade, after discovering the reality of dark creatures, and became a hunter. Joined up with a group he met in Scandinavia somewhere. Eventually led them a guild company of monster hunters for hire. And these two men brought these two groups together under the church, and with that backing, they formed the Sons of Man. Tonight I'm going to go a little more in detail to break down the origin of the Sons of Man as I've read it in this book. I'm not really going to go through it page by page because, as you saw, it's pretty deteriorated, and I am taking steps to keep it preserved and to digitally, have files to make sure that even if I lose it or if it's destroyed, all this information is not lost. Now, the order, like I said, was technically founded by two men. They were the ones responsible for its formation. They were named, one of them was named Raphael Caron, and the other one, it just has him listed as Sir Baldwin. I don't find any first name for him. Now, Father Lamont, the person who wrote this edition of the history, clearly felt that Caron was the one more responsible for the formation of the Sons of Man, but I'm going to break down who each of these people were. That said, I'm going to start with Sir Baldwin because his story, while more fantastical, is a little bit less complicated. Starting with Roland, who served under Charlemagne, the 12 paladins were knights imbued with holy power. They used it against enemies, including monsters and just evil people. Sir Baldwin was one of them, and he eventually ended up fighting in the Crusades. Now, Caron, I believe, was a more interesting character. This man basically was just a really, really talented knight, a fighter, who went off to the Crusades and, during that time, caught a lot of people's attention, including this Sir Baldwin, and they became friendly. while fighting on the same side. His prowess in combat made him a prize for any feudal lord, which eventually pulled him into the Crusades like many of his other brethren. Afterwards, after discovering the existence of dark creatures, he ended up joining a guild of hunters in Scandinavia. Then it was Caron who set up a meeting with Baldwin. It sounds incredibly epic. Like what a place to really be a fly on the wall. Imagine a meeting of like Scandinavian Norsemen, monster hunters, and a bunch of like Italian regal paladin knights. And basically they sat down together. Caron convinced Baldwin to go to the higher ups in the church to try to, with this idea of like just a monster hunting army. The Holy See approved, and this group came together to form the Sons of Man, taking it upon themselves to rid the world of dark creatures. Now, a lot of you guys compare them, like talking about what I found out about them, to the Men of Letters from Supernatural, and nothing against Supernatural, but like these guys sound way more badass. Like these weren't just a bunch of guys taking notes, filling books with information about stuff, and maybe going to try to solve it. This was a full-on army. Like if you had some monsters, vampires, trolls, what have you, terrorizing some part somewhere in the wilderness of some village, they would send in a full battalion of soldiers and a paladin maybe and hunters and just wipe it out. So pretty unsurprisingly, after my last 2 videos, I have been called again. I recorded the call. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you guys now. It was a little bit of a pain to get this into a form where I could post it onto TikTok, but thankfully Salo let me use her phone to record listening to it, and it's weird. The guy was weird. He kept referring to me as Mr. Alex, and it just gave me some weird vibes. You guys will see. Also slips up at the end, saying something he didn't intend to, I guess, and then just hangs up.
Hello, Alex. Okay, listen. I know that in the state of Florida, I need your consent to record and to post this call, but if you do not give me that consent right now, I'm just going to hang up and I'm not going to even listen to an offer. All right. You can record. Okay, I just want to know who you represent. Like, who is it that wants to buy these things from me and is offering so much money? I'm sorry, I can't say. Unfortunately, their anonymity is not open for discussion. Not my call, as I have said. Okay, it makes me incredibly suspicious that you won't tell me who you are or, like, even give me a number to reach you. And I don't think that I should consider anything. I won't consider anything unless you just give me some kind of information. I mean, are you with the Sons of Man? As I have said already, I can't say anything regarding my employer's identity, Mr. Alex. And if that's a deal breaker, if it means I won't even hear your offer? Well, my superiors will be very unhappy with me, and I'd probably call you and try again in a couple of months. Okay, look, man, I do appreciate that you haven't been, like, openly intimidating, but you need to understand how threatening all this is in and of itself. I don't know who you are. You're clearly stalking my social media. Somehow you got my phone number. This all feels really, really wrong to me. I wish that things could be quite different, but it can't shock you too much, given the nature of these things, that those around it are very secretive. Look, I don't want to discuss anything more, but I want to make sure that you guys know that my house is well monitored and protected, that no one will be able to get in here without my knowing about it, and if they try, they're going to have a very, very bad time. Look, Mr. Alex, what you said in your video was right. If we were the type of people that just did whatever we wanted to, whomever we wanted to, we would have done those things. And nobody here wants to piss off Harold Oakley's ghost and then snatch a trunk full of his personal possessions. I said more than I should have.
I think the reference to Harold is a pretty big giveaway that this is in fact the Sons of Man. So sorry to get you in trouble, buddy, but you messed up. Alright, so I've been really going through all this stuff. I didn't have as much time this week as I have lately. I'm almost through all of the reading materials other than those weird books that I've talked about and shown a little bit about. And I'm really getting, that feeling when you finish a really good novel or series and you just feel kind of empty in your soul. Well, imagine that times 1,000, and that's kind of how I'm starting to feel. I really want to find whatever else I can. You guys have been very helpful about that. But meanwhile, I want to show you, I mentioned when these guys were calling me the first couple times, they described some items that were not in the trunk, but that are here in the house. Another weird clock, a couple paintings, that cauldron that was under there. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you those things. So this is the clock. It's the biggest, most intricate thing that they mentioned. Really decorative, really like stuff engraved all over it. I really have no idea how old it is, where it was made. I have not been able to find any engravings on it that give any information like that. It does not appear to be working still, however old it is. But I'm just showing it to you on all sides because it's got all kinds of cool little metal work in there. Yeah. So that is 2 weird clocks. I don't know. And a DeLorean next door, so who knows. There's also this matching pair of candelabras that seem, based on the engravings and everything, to go with the clock. Before I get over there helping out. Well, the creepier thing that they asked about was probably this painting. They described as, just a young girl drinking out of a fountain, some leaves falling. There's no real indication of how old it is here on the back. It's browned pretty significantly. There's no author name or date. Frame looks pretty old and ragged too. And I don't know, she gives me the creeps, but they were interested in this. And now something I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for. This was the cauldron that was down under the house with the trunk. I did end up eventually digging it out of there as well. This is something that they also mentioned wanting to purchase. So I don't know if this belonged to that Bridget woman or what the story is with it, but there you have it. Alright, now this is the last one they talked about, and of course I wouldn't say it's creepy, but I'd even say maybe powerful, because I definitely get some strong vibes off of it. I don't know if it's been blessed, but it's a picture, painting, whatever, of Jesus and Mary, his mom. A bunch of crazy crosses all over it, and pretty well done, and kind of haunting. So, alright, once again, you guys have led me to some really cool stuff. A lot of you guys were telling me you got a feeling there was something inside of the clock that I should be looking in it, so I did that, and I found some weird stuff. I'm just going to show you. Here you go. So as many of you have advised, I've been trying to get into this thing, but I have not been having luck. It's pretty tightly sealed on there. But I did notice, looking at it, the bottom here looks pretty sus. I'm going to try to get in there, see what this string is about. So, I hope I'm not ruining this. I'm just going to pull it off. Get in there. Hold on. Alright, so I have managed to kind of pull this out. Definitely see. Oh, shit. Whew. Alright, so this is what I just fucking found inside of that clock. This is a note with a bunch of numbers. I'll try to figure out what that means later. And then there's this tied off little sack of stuff. I kind of feel like I should wait before I open it, but I don't think I'm going to. Get this. What the fuck? Holy shit. So I got the light on so we can see these better. This is like a weird gemstone, and then even weirder, black basalt looking, I don't know, rectangular stones. This weird kind of crystal ball looking thing. And then this is the strangest. It looks like it has one of those gems. Let me see if I can take this apart. The light's still on it. Oh, wow. Okay, that pops right off. It's got a hole. is this? Okay, another one of those gemstones. Some kind of like star and moon coin or emblem, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go into something now that I've been holding off on a little bit for multiple reasons. In this journal, the thicker journal that I got from Harold that was in the trunk, he does go into detail about a lot of the work he's done, hunting different kinds of creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to just start going into detail with those. He has some sketches, he's written a lot, so I'll just go into one that I think you guys will find interesting first. Okay, now this first story does take place when he was still a paladin, blessed paladin, whatever. These things they claim, basically super soldiers who got enhanced powers from prayer or God or however you want to look at it. Here he's talking about a time when he was sent to Greece, somewhere along the Aegean. There was some kind of sea creature that was causing a lot of harm. And apparently mermaids were involved, sirens, as they were referred to. This is his sketch of one. He talks about going into the water to face off against this creature, and with the full power of the paladin, he claims to have actually parted the water. So this is him standing between the two walls of water that formed. So yeah, I know that's a very big claim, but if you've been here this long, I mean, you know what kind of stuff we're talking about. Now, he says that as he was battling this thing, floating here in the water wall, whatever you want to call it, were sirens, including what he refers to as the Siren Queen. It sounds like that's just basically what they called the whatever one that was in charge, the mermaid that was in charge. And it's pretty interesting. He says that after he killed this thing, basically he passed out, the water flushed in around him and like crushed, he would have been dead. And he says that the mermaids dragged him back to shore. He woke up them playing in the water on the beach. They tried to get him to come in and play too. He wouldn't do it. I guess they got unhappy and he just kind of took off. So there you go. I know TikTok loves mermaids, so I thought you guys would like this. What really strikes me as interesting, besides the obvious, is that, maybe him declining whatever offer he says they wanted him to play. They were playful in the water, and he kind of just took off like he was freaked out. Maybe that's what, offended them. Leopold talked in the interview about them kind of being pissed off, or at least one of them being pissed off at our bloodline. So I don't know. It just sounds interesting to me. I'm going to keep sharing some passages like this. All the kinds of things you saw on the chest make a lot more sense reading through this. It talks about vampires, the fae, stuff more, but in a more antagonistic sense. What I believe are werewolves, they don't call them that. All kinds of cool stuff.